What's going on, everybody? I'm Brother Stavanis. This is Command Center Wargaming. So in today's video, we're going to be having a look at this game I had last night, which was of Zone Mortalis. Now, Zone Mortalis is a version of 30k where it's basically very similar, nearly the same, but it's all about being inside, you know, sort of like boarding actions, closed confined spaces, things like that, sewers, inside buildings. It's actually pretty cool. Shares a few elements with things like Space Hulk and that, but not quite. It's more still, you know, around that sort of Horus Heresy 30k rule set, for those of you who haven't played it. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game, and it was really good. Now, guys, this is an impartial channel, okay? We're not supported by anyone. We're basically here to look at things impartially within the hobby. If you support that kind of stuff, please considering dropping a like and subscribe on the channel. And yeah, it really helps the channel to grow, and it helps other viewers to see the content as well when you do that. So basically, yeah, so it was awesome. So I was down there at Good Game with the guys, some of the guys from Mornival events, Paulie C, Marshall and Matthew, and we had a game, and I was obviously Alpha Legion, so using my 30k force of Alpha Legion, some of them. I put the list together really quickly. Actually, I put it together on the fly, just as before I started, which is generally what I think is a good idea with Alpha Legion in 30k, because, you know, Alpha Legion in 30k is a very big counter legion, more so of that of Alpha Legion in 40k. 40k, there's a bit of it. They got their shenanigans and stuff, but 30k, they're just like a counter army. So you rock up and you're basically like, okay, you look at what you're going to be up against. If you're going to go up against tanks, well, you have rights of war, and then you could basically say, okay, well, I want tank hunters, which is basically going to allow me to, you know, certain rerolls and things like that against tanks, rerolling the one. Okay, it's kind of like preferred enemy, but more specific. All right, and preferred enemy, for those people who are coming over from 40k, like myself, it's basically just like, you know, command point reroll, or the reroll that the captains get. You know, like when you get a captain rerolls a 1 to hit, or a lieutenant will reroll the 1 to wound. It works similar to that, but I'll do another video later on about all the other legions and their warlord traits and stuff like that. But as I'm still pretty new to the game, coming from 40k, playing 30k, I'll probably keep the tactical talk, you know, in check for now, and just sort of talk about my experiences. So yeah, the right of war I picked was basically counterattack, and that enabled me to basically attack twice when being charged, or have an additional attack when being charged. And that did actually come in handy throughout the game, because my main opponent was actually Sons of Horus, and as you can see here, they had quite a, you know, a contingent of Justerian Terminators, along with this Mortis Dreadnought, Contemptor Dreadnought here. I can't remember the exact make it was, but it was the standard one, I think. And we also had these elites here and stuff like that with Plasma and Melter. And there's more stuff off the table which you actually can't see. So I had reserves, and he had reserves as well, which was awesome. They come on later, which, you know, you'll be able to see throughout the match. And the way it kind of works here in Zone Mortalis, for those of you who haven't played it, basically what happens is it does work by inches, but those inches are basically measured by these tiles. So these tiles here, each tile is measured by 2 inches, so it's 2 inches per tile. So say if you have a tactical squad who has a base movement of 6, providing he doesn't run, then, you know, you could just say, okay, well, I'm going to move him 6, and then you know, so long as, like, you know, his base is on the edge of the tile, you could basically move up, you know, to here, right up to that point. You can use the measuring stick as well, but it's just handy to have that tileable system there. I find it's really cool. So that's the element I sort of found, you know, in league with Space Hulk a little bit, and I just found a little bit of a similar mechanic. So, you know, it was awesome. But anyway, so Sons of Horus here, and then on the other side, my ally was Iron Hands, and we were up against the Death Guard. Now, some absolutely fantastic painted armies in this. These guys, some of the guys are playing in Mortal events, which is, from what I've seen, it's probably one of the most elite wargaming clubs here in Australia. From what I've seen, some of the best painted armies I've seen as well. So they have a very strict army painting policy. We were actually slacking off a little bit this game, because it was more of sort of like a casual game. It's kind of like a Monday game where it's more about testing stuff out. The big event will be happening in about 2 weeks' time, which I'll be going to. I'll be Siege Wars, and that'll be happening, I believe it's alongside Active Heresy, and I'll be bringing down my main Siege force, my heavy armor and everything that you guys have been seeing on the channel down for that. So it's cool. But yeah, so you'll notice here, like, you know, we have some iron hands, which are sort of base coated, but they're not really painted fully. But you'll see in some of the other pictures, like Paulie sees Death Guard, you know, absolutely fantastic paintwork. You know, also as well, Marshall's Sons of Horus is, you know, absolutely fantastic as well. So, you know, it's kind of like a thing there where, I don't know why with Mornival everyone just has stuff epically painted. You know, it's not like there's this massive criteria, you know, where you must have, you know, a certain level of painting to play, or not officially anyway. But I guess it's just maybe like people just feel intimidated by running their armies, you know, unless they, you know, they sort of fit in certain sort of criteria. I don't know. Anyway, look, I like to play like that. I like my tables to be, you know, tabletop standard and above. That's just me. I don't always play like that, but, you know, you can't always have everything painted. I mean, I'm guilty here too. So this Contemptor was actually played with combat arms, with Dreadnought melee arms, combat arms. But because I don't actually have them yet, I've got to order them. I just kept the Kiri's assault cannons on, you know, but has actually had combat arms and stuff like that. So I was a bit guilty there too. I think one of the Praetors has a Thunder Hammer. He actually had something else. So, but if that was normal Mornival, generally, like, it has to be like WYSIWYG to a point, you know. So, yeah, which is the way I like it. You know, I've even started going through. I've like magnetized my rhinos and stuff like that. So, you know, with the multi-melter, so I could take that off and on. So that's pretty much like the, you know, the extent we go to. You know, I'm not a power gamer, you know, but like, I am a very visual person, and, you know, I don't want to be sort of playing and, you know, have like, you know, a whole army of, you know, two-tone contrast and stuff like that going on. Like, not to say that, like, I wouldn't play anyone, you know, like if they had an army of like undercoated stuff, of course I would, but, you know, as a preference, you know, this is the way I kind of like to play. But anyway, so yeah, Death Guard up the back there. So what happened was, we won the initiative for starting. They failed to seize, so we went on the board first, and we basically had, they're all basically traitors at this point, I think. I don't know. We didn't kind of work that out, but I guess you could say we had Loyalists versus traitors. My Alpha Legion are actually pretty loyal. They're kind of on the fence, to be honest. You know, they're loyal, but, you know, there's a few units that are a little bit, you know, on the cusp. They're on the fence a bit, you know, in the closet. And, you know, usually the greener my Alpha Legion get, so the more teal they get, the more sort of to chaos they're shifting. That's sort of like the way I've designed my army palette, which I've discussed before. So, you know, and yeah, so they came up on the table. My guys came in here. I'm really happy with my bros there. You know, no artificial lighting here, anybody, nothing like that. It's all what you see, what you get, and, you know, under just normal lights in the gaming club. So I'm really happy with the way they're looking. It's been a real challenge to get like a proper blue teal look for Alpha Legion, which has the exact refraction and finish that I want as well. Because, you know, light blues are really hard to get with metallic paint, because a lot of the teal white blue paints, they have, you know, white pigments. So the more white something gets, the less the less opaque it gets, the less see-through it gets. So yeah, happy, moving on, keep it on going. I'm personally happy with the way my stuff's coming out anyway, and that's it. You might think it looks crap, that's absolutely fine with me, because I'm happy with it. So, and you should be happy with your stuff too. So anyway, they came on, was fantastic, and an interesting point was, so with these guys here, these are actually in Linearian Terminator armor, but in this game I actually just run them as Cataphracti. I do have Linearians on the table as well, but I just didn't get a photo of them. Now, it's funny because these guys were meant to have power fists, but I thought I'll just run it with siege claws anyway. I should have actually just taken it with a power fist. So note to self, anybody who's also playing like, you know, Horus Heresy or anything like that, let me know in the comments down below. Like, you know, I'm still actually going through and very new to the game of 30k, even though I played a lot of 7th edition. You know, there are differences in 30k as well, especially with the balancing and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. But anyway, I took them as lightning claws as they're modeled in cataphracti armor. Even though the model is of a Linearian Terminator, it's actually cataphracti armor. But what I should have done, one of the things I really should have done, not a mistake, but more of an oversight, was I should have put power fists on those guys, which is as what is intended. Linearian's actually pretty good. They got good strength and stuff like that. I know a lot of people, they say that they're not worth the points compared to standard Terminators. That's probably the case. It could just be me. Like, maybe I just haven't played, you know, that many games of 30k yet, and maybe there are situations where I'm going to learn, you know, the contrary. But I've actually found Linearians to be really good. In the Zone Mortalis, they're really good too. Even when they died, like you'll see later on, these guys actually got cleaned out by a Sons of Horus Dreadnought, because, you know, the lightning claws couldn't actually hurt the Dreadnought. But they still held him up. Now, I was hoping they'd hold him up for a little bit longer, but they still locked him in combat, because I had a bit of a tactic here. I'll walk you through my tactics, how we won this. Or won this on my end. Also, Matthew as well. Like, he won because he was playing awesome too on his side. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, they came on. It was awesome. And then what happened next was the Sons of Horus came down, and the Contemptor Dreadnought here had a graviton gun or grav weapon. I think it got graviton in 30k. And what happened was he started laying down fire onto my tacticals and stuff, onto my Terminators, and creating dangerous terrain, like voids in between the gaps and stuff like that. So every time my Legionary moved, I'd have to roll for a dangerous terrain check and stuff like that. Luckily, tactically, I was basically able to keep that at a minimum. I only had to roll one of them, and I passed it, so it was all good. But something that happened, and then you can see here the you know, the Linearians coming down the hall here. Now here's the thing. So one thing I learned about this game. Now, I'm actually not scared of Justarian Terminators. Sorry, did I call them Linearians? I think I did. Sorry, Justarian Terminators, right? I heard a lot of hype online about Justarian Terminators. They look awesome. They look brutal. You know, I was actually a little bit wary of them. I wouldn't say afraid, but I was kind of like, you know, when you look at a unit and you basically just say, well, oh my God, not one of those, you know. And then there's other units like, you know, and you'd be like, ah, whatever, man, that's just like a scout, you know, or something. Yeah, or a Phoenix Guard Terminator. Emperor's Children Phoenix Guard Terminators, a bit of a fizzer, you know. But yeah, and they were coming down. I was a little bit, you know, apprehensive, because I'm like, once these guys get here, I'm going to be in a world of shit, because they're just going to clean me out, you know. Now, the thing is, as well, what I would have probably done in this situation, if I was the other player, I would have deep struck them. The problem is, the deep striking is Zone Mortalis is very brutal and risky to deep strike stuff in. So, and you can only teleport too. You can't like have jump packs and stuff like that, because obviously it's indoors, okay? But anyway, this isn't a lesson on how to, you know, play Zone Mortalis. I may do one of those later on. But for now, you know, just discussing things. And the problem is you could see here, if he rolled his scatter dice and he missed the teleportation down, then those guys would end up in the wall, and that would have cleaned him out, right? Because the walls, it's not like, you know, big open field like in, you know, 40k or 30k, where if like you deep strike in and you have a mishap. There's no real mishaps in 40k, but anyway, then what would happen is that like they'd be like, okay, whatever, you might like lose one guy, or you might, you know, whatever, or they can't come on this turn. But in Zone Mortalis, if you roll the scatter dice and they scatter and your deep strike comes in off, like especially if you want to come down one of these corridors or something, you're stuffed. Like, you guys will just, you know, full Philadelphia experiment in the wall, right? And so he could have deep striked them down here, over in here, But I don't reckon it's worth it, eh? I didn't deep strike my reserves, even though I had the ability to. The only time I deep striked my forces was with Dynat. I had a hammer strike, and I had my Hydra Elite multi-melter veterans with the red shoulder pads, which basically signifies like Royal Guard kind of thing, like in my Alpha Legion sort of hierarchy. So yeah, I get pretty full on, guys. I've got like my own internal hierarchy and like, you know, emblems and stuff like that, of how everything sort of like, you know, looks within the Alpha Legion army. So, and I actually only deep struck them in later because my ally had a homing beacon, a signum, I think it was called, where basically it meant that I didn't have to roll the scatter dice. They would just, as long as I rolled the reserve roll properly, they just came in. It worked out really well, but we'll get to that. So anyway, coming down and basically down the board here, and I started copying grab fire from this guy, and as that was happening, and then eventually like happened, he started walking down, and then he brought in this veteran squad, Sons of Horus veteran squad in with I think some melters and some plasmas from the reserve. He didn't deep strike in, he basically came in off the board, which was smart of him. But you can see here there's his dreadnought there, and then I came in, and I said to myself, okay, well, what can I do here? I can either launch my tacticals up, or what I could do is I could have my elites. I said, well, if my tacticals come in, my tactical's probably just going to get minced by that dreadnought, you know, and I'll be like giving him that unit. Whereas like, even though my Cataphracti Terminators are more expensive, you know, I thought to myself, well, you know, better to just use that unit, lose that unit than lose like a whole squad of kitted up tacticals at that point, because you know, with their add-ons the points are about the same, because I had like melter bombs on them and stuff like that. Yeah, and lucky I did that because I moved these guys up a little bit, and the Sons of Horus reserves came on, and he got a bit unlucky. He lost one of his plasmas to a reroll of roll of a 1, so he automatically died. And then they got a few shots off. They killed one Terminator, I believe, and then they killed one Marine, and then I basically came in here, did an assault lightning cores, cleaned them up. It was pretty brutal. Got rid of them all. One Terminator died in the counterattack, because in Zone Mortalis and 30k, the way it works is something I really like. Both armies actually fight at the same time, and then you remove the casualties sort of later. And so basically, yeah, it was really good. And we left these guys there, and the dreadnought kept coming down the field, which was interesting. At this time, there was a big battle going on with the Death Guard across the board and the Iron Hands. There was also some Castellan robots in there that were really punishing the Death Guard. Paul had a little bit of bad rolling as well, which kind of helped with that, but he did even it out later on. So what I started doing at this point, I said to myself, well, you know, what am I going to do here? And I'm like, think Alpha Legion, right? Because I've got these massive units coming down of Justerian Terminators, and they're just walking down. I said, you know, what would Alpha Legion do in this point? Because I believe you have to always think about how your army plays, and play to, like, you know, the tactics and stuff of that army, play to their strengths, right? I said, look, I'm no expert in close combat, right? Even if I have close combat units, I'm Alpha Legion. So I'm all about being a bit shifty and, you know, using trickery and manipulating the situation to my hand. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? These Terminators are walking down the board. They're slow, right? They're slow Terminators. Like, they can't run, right? So my guys are moving 6 as well, but they can run. So what I did was I just started running away from him. So he had like all these points just coming down the board, couldn't do anything the whole game. And even though they looked really nice, couldn't do anything. And that's why I don't feel Sons of Horus Justerian anymore. Because if I ever counter them again, I'm just going to run. I'm just going to move away from them, you know. So they're very tough, you know, but they got to get to you. So anyway, his dreadnought ended up coming in, and we held him off for a turn. I got a little bit unlucky on the saves and stuff, even though that was a very powerful dreadnought. I couldn't hurt him back anyway. He killed all those Cataphracti Terminators. That was all fine. And the dreadnought just kept running in. Now I kept my dreadnought back, you know, because everyone's like, oh, why aren't you moving up? I'm just like, well, why would I? Like, let him come to me, So a bit of maneuvering there. And that's one thing I've kind of learned about, Zone Mortalis and that. It's an internal space, but here's the thing, speed matters. And I've actually got, I wanted to have this game, but next Monday I'll have them ready. I've got my breaches squad ready, 15 breaches. So I'm going to be running 14 standard breaches of bolt guns, and then one with a multi-melter, and then I'll give a sergeant a melter bomb. And those guys are going to replace one of my tactical squads in my list. And I'm also going to have I'm also going to run power fists on my Linearians as well. Now, with that said, I was still happy with the way the tactical Marines went, but the thing is that the breaches get certain bonuses and stuff like that in Zone Mortalis, because there's a lot of environmental effects there they do better against. They also get an invulnerable save as well because of their storm shields. It's not a great one, but like it's still really good. I haven't really checked them out myself, breaches in 30k, like on the open table. I've gone up against them, they've done really well, but yeah, I'll have to make that judgment later. I've heard they're kind of a bit crappy on open games of 30k, standard 30k, but I'll need to do my own assessment as it goes on. So anyway, so moving on, this is what was happening on the other side of the table. As you can see, beautifully painted army by Paul EC. And there were a lot of challenges going on between the Iron Hands commander and the Death Watch commander, and Death Guard commander. And the Iron Hands were winning a lot. But then what ended up happening is that, and that was mainly just because of just bad luck on the Death Guard's side of things. Then what happened was the Iron Sons of Horus player had a unit of elites in reserve, and because I think he saw what I was trying to do running away, and he saw I had like a lot of Linearians ready with power axes and stuff, he actually deep struck his unit over the other side of the table to help with this battle, and that kind of helped the Death Guard a lot, sort of turned the tides of battle a little bit from there. At that point though, we were at, I think about turn 3 or 4, so it helped, but it was still, we still had the upper hand, I think. So anyway, so to counter that, I had my elite team here of Hydra Elite and Dynat. And Dynat deep struck in without penalty because Matthew had a signum, and so I just went in here in this little corner because, Alpha Legion, when the tough gets going, the tough hide in the corner. So I came in with my melters here. They were actually just general melters. Believe it or not, I should have had them as combi melters, but it was just at the time, like I did the list up in a little bit of a rush, so I didn't think about it. But you know what? It's all a learning experience, and we won anyway. Yeah, I don't care anyway about like winning that much. Like I just want to have fun, But I want to win, but I like to have fun. And if I lose, I lose, I just make sure that I learn, like for next time. As long as you learn for the next game, it's not truly a defeat, in my opinion. It's actually a victory. Right, so as the guys say to me, like to Mornival, because they know I'm coming over from 30k, and I said, look guys, I'm a bit of a noob 30k, very sorry, and I know how elite everybody is there and stuff, and I just said, look, and then it's like, look guys, Steve, the best way to learn how to play it, mate, is just to play it. Just play it, we're cool, and so I definitely recommend checking out the events there. I'll see you down there, and it'll be great. So yeah, came down, and basically what happened is that picture is actually from before. So yeah, that was when the Death Guard and the Iron Hands are about to face off. So anyway, Dynat came down, and sort of this combat kind of resolved. At that point, it was about turn 5, and the other team conceded after this final showdown between the Iron Hands and the Death Guard. Now, just a point of note, this isn't the completed army of Iron. Sorry. Oh, not Iron Warriors, Iron Hands. This isn't the completed paint scheme for that. They're basically just undercoated, so they're going to look epic when they're finished, I'm sure. And basically, yeah, and that was where it kind of ended. And the other team conceded. and we had an absolutely fantastic game. Now, I would like to battle report these at some point, but at this time, like I'm still sort of building my rapport with these guys, and it doesn't really sort of, it's a bit rude to just walk in there with a camera and just goes, okay guys, I'll just start filming the game, so, but I will have a chat to them later about it as I sort of get to know everybody a little bit more, because as you can see, it's some pretty fantastic stuff here. And it was awesome. So yeah, anyway everybody, look, Zone Mortalis, it's epic. If you want to come down for a match or whatever, hit us up down there at Good Games Town Hall. We should be down there pretty much every Monday. Good Games Town Hall Sydney. And you can check out Mornival events on the Facebook group. They're going to get some free advertising for me because I play with them now on my YouTube channel. Nothing's been talked about, but like I'm obviously going to report what I'm doing right on my own channel. But look, it's an absolutely fantastic club, guys. Very serious players, but very fun and very fair. A good bunch of people that are just hardcore. That's the way I describe the guys over at Mornival. They're really nice people. They're not like dicks, you know what I mean? But they are hardcore and they love the hobby and they love, what they're sort of doing. They do take the game very seriously, as do I. Anyway, everybody, I've been Brother Stevanius and I'll catch you in the next video.